So I've made a React Day 7 folder here, and I have CD'd into it. So you can CD into your React Day 7 folder over here. And inside this React Day 7 folder, we're going to start a new project. Does anyone remember the command to start a new project? npx create React app, and then the name of your app. And we're going to call this one fake Slack. Cool. You're going to hit enter for fake Slack. npx create React app fake Slack. It is going to build everything in there. Let it do its build thing. Wait a second. Once it's done, we'll start this up. Okay, so it's finished now. That's nice. It says cd into fake Slack and npm start. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Cd into fake Slack, npm start, and we should see our fake Slack project ready to go. So here it is. And if I preview this and put it over here, I see my app. I can go into the source, app.js, and I can split these screens so that I can see both of them at the same time. And we are ready to go. Now the first thing we're actually going to do here, like every other time, we're going to delete everything inside the app component. So it just looks like this. It should just be an empty div, like so. And that should be the entire application. And then inside there, we're going to make an h1 that says fake Slack, so we know it's working. And you should have this. Once you have this, you are ready to go. So give me a thumbs up when you have that so I know that you're there. Now we're going to install a couple things in this project to make it work. Here's the two things we're going to install. I'm actually going to stop my server to do this. So I'm going to click in here and I'm going to say Control-C, which should stop the server. I'm going to clear it so you can see this a little easier. Now I'm going to write npm install -- save react router DOM. And then I'm going to hit enter. React router DOM is how you can create multiple pages on your app, routes, so that your app can have a bunch of different routes on the page and see a bunch of different things. We use React router DOM if we want to render a different component based on the route that the user is on. We also want to install Firebase because we're going to use Firebase here. So you want to say npm install -- save Firebase. Now in the future, you can just install all those things at the same time. So you can say npm install -- save Firebase space React router DOM, and you can do it like that too. That's totally fine, but I've done them in two different separate places so you can see both installations individually. So we're installing Firebase and we're installing React router DOM. Now once both of those are installed, you should be able to go to your package.json and see that it's updated your package.json with the appropriate information. So in the package.json, if you see React router DOM in here, you're good. If you also see the Firebase dependency in there as soon as that's done installing, you should be good. So once everyone opens up their package.json and sees Firebase and React router DOM, give me a thumbs up so I know you're there. Now that we have our packages installed in our package.json, we can run npm start again and hopefully nothing is broken. We start it, we see nothing is broken. We can enter in something in here. Let's make a little function for a nav and just make sure that we have a nav in there. I'm just going to put a nav bar. I'm going to return a div. And inside there, I'm just going to say nav. And then I'm going to include it up here and make sure it works. Click refresh. Cool. Our nav bar is up there too. So everything seems to be working. Nothing has really changed yet. But what we're going to do now is talk a little bit about routing. How do you route to different parts of your page? And so this is actually something that is an important part of pretty much every application you're going to use. And so it's good to get it out of the way early on. Now, if you were to go to something like Twitter, I'm just going to go to Twitter really quickly, and I were to click these different buttons here, you will see that Twitter, every time I click one of these buttons, up here if I go lists, it will take me to an entirely different component in the middle. Do you see that? Basically, you can think of this sidebar as a component, this sidebar as a component, and if you click any of these components, explore, notifications, messages, bookmarks, etc., it will render a different component in the middle. Do you see that? We cool with that so far? What that's doing is it's basically, you can think of it as React Router. Anytime we click on one of these buttons right here, it routes us to a different component in the middle. And that is actually exactly how our app is going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this nav bar. Whenever we click on one of the items in the nav bar, it's going to render a different component right here. Cool? So let's say our component has 3 different links. Let's say our app has 3 different links on it. The first link, we're going to want to render a sign up component. So let's make another function down here called sign up, so people can sign up for our app. Let's make it h3. It says sign up. Let's also make one for log in. Take a few seconds, just make those 2 components for me really quickly. Now inside my app, I have this h1 that says fake Slack. I'm actually going to take that out and put it in a component called home, like the home page. So I'm just going to make another component down here called home. And just put an h1 that says fake Slack in there. And so we have a couple components in here, a login component, a sign up component, and a home component. And right now we're only displaying the home component. But what we're going to do is we're going to give the nav the ability to click on any of those links and render a different component instead of this home component. Just exactly what was there before, which is the h1 that says fake Slack. So we had an h1 in there that said fake Slack. I just took that out, put it in its own component, and then rendered the component inside the app function. And so again, this is all React is. You're making a bunch of different functions that return some HTML. And at this point, this is pretty simple. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to import a few things here. We're going to say import browser router as router. We're going to import route, and we're going to import navlink from React Router DOM. Oh, route. So browser router as router. We're just renaming browser router because that's too big. That's just the word router. And then a single route, and then a nav link. And all this is going to do is the router is going to figure out which component to render depending on what our URL is. Whatever comes after this slash right here. So say slash something, whatever we put right there, and the browser router is going to figure out which component to render based on that. And so to use it, we can just go inside our app and we can create a router component like this. And inside the router component, we can say, instead of saying home, we can use routes. So we can say route path is equal to, whenever we're on the home page, I want the component to be home. And this, if you save this, should still work exactly the same way. And it does. Now, the other thing we want to do is we want to say, hey, when the path is login, we want the component to be the login component. Oh, sorry, that's supposed to say route. Excuse me. What do you think we do for the sign up component? Someone help me. How would I write that? You would say route. And what would the path be equal to?
Sign up.
Sign up.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then what would the component be equal to?
Curly braces. Sign up.
Exactly. Now, if you see this right here, and you save this, this should still work. We don't see any errors. If I go at the end of this, and I put /login, and I hit enter, what do you see here? What does it say? Login. It's displaying our login component. If I instead put sign up, and I hit enter, notice how it displays the sign up component now instead. The problem is it's still always displaying this home component. And so a way to change that is to say, make sure this is an exact path where it's only this slash. And then it displays the sign up component if we're on the sign up page, the login component if we're on the login page, and if nothing is there, it's just on the home component. And so now we should be able to go to different links and get different components that are rendered to our screen. Now the cool part about that is we can then go inside the nav and create some links in here. So in here I could say, let's make a couple buttons. Bless you. Now these buttons are actually going to be nav links. But if you think about it, this should be the home page, this should be the login page, this should be the sign up page. Right? So I want to click on each of these buttons and I want it to take me to the home page, the login page, or the sign up page. And if you want to find any of this out, you can just go to the React Router website and they'll kind of explain to you everything on how to use React Router. So they'll give you the whole shebang right here. If any of this is confusing to you, you can always go back and see how they do it, which is really nice. They do a pretty good job of explaining how you should use React Router. And so you can just go in here and inside this button, you can make it a nav link, and you can say home. And then all you need to do is tell it where to go. You say to equals the home page. And you can do this for the login and the sign up button. Log in, sign up, uh-oh, I think I did it wrong. Oh, this is supposed to go inside the router. Excuse me. My apologies. Let's see if that works now.
I have attempted short error React Router.
Oh, interesting. Let me take a look at it.
So I do an import router.
Let me show you what I did, and then I'll come in and I'll fix your problems. Cool? So what you see here is like all I did is I can now click on any of these buttons and it'll render the appropriate component. And that's actually exactly what React Router does. It'll render different components based on the link you are on. Cool? That's actually all we need.
Can you
I'll scroll back down.
Yeah, I'll show you everything right now.